Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the job for Teal, he's part of the deal with his trusty Goa'uld. It's just a regular day at Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
Welcome back to the unending hell of a shit show of the timeline that we are currently in.
Welcome to the hellscape.
I'm your co-fry, Sarah.
I'm your co-fry, Christina.
I'm your co-fry, Wells. Yeah.
It's been like this last week, I've aged 100 fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what is? It was shocking to me trying to go back and remember the last time we podcasted, which was literally only a week and a half ago, right? But it feels like so much longer ago.
I miss the person I was then.
Like, right? We were so positive about how we were going to move through the world that Sunday, and then the inauguration happened. Like, the whole thing of like my post ending up on the wrong side of Instagram, that has happened since last week. Like, that feels like 2 months ago in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, what weird time dilation, awful bubble are we in right now, and how do we get out of it?
This is
Like,
the
how
worst
do we get out of
timeline.
it?
We're in the worst timeline.
Yeah. Christina, if I can speak for you for just a second, and then I'll let you talk. But Christina was saying before we started that, like, hey, I'm going to be winging it. I'm not going to be my like normal bubbly self. And I said, well, you know, I think that I was just going to call out the shit show that we're in right now. And therefore everybody will be very understanding of how everyone is feeling. Well, anybody that's in this crowd, because I'm pretty sure everybody that's watching us right now are people that are always here. So, but I know, Christina, I don't think anybody's going to hold that against you this week. You'll probably find me laughing more just because that is my default to like when things are falling apart for me. Because it's either that or like I will cry a lot and have been. But anyway, Christina, I just to assuage whatever concerns you have about not seeming your bubbly self, I don't think you need to worry about it. I think everybody understands. Yeah.
I say that, and you know what's going to end up happening is that because I'm spending time with my community and I'm outside of my silo, I by the end will absolutely be bubbly and encouraged, and I will be that, and that is gonna be a reality. But like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I am not doing well because I am in I have things I need to figure out, and it's different for a lot of us. I have a very unique, very real reality, even as of executive orders that just came out. So
like
I have to just
like hours ago.
Yeah, like 2 hours ago. And I have concerns about whether my child can go to school. I have concerns now based on this last report. I need clarification on what that looks like, whether she is allowed to go to school as herself and without it causing harm. I have a lot of concerns. So I am not chipper. I am not even hopeful. I have no grace for anyone who remotely thinks that there is some sort of positive from this. Um, I am I am as closely impacted as you can get to these laws that are happening. Like, there is no closer to the bullseye because I have a trans child. So I am directly in the bullseye and I don't have a way to sugarcoat that. So I am unwell. I love this community and wouldn't be here if I didn't, because this is the only thing that could get me out of my other processing that I'm in. So I appreciate the extended grace, though I don't need it. But that is the reality for our listeners, for those. That is the reality of someone who is so empathetically concerned with the world at all given times. But when it turns on them, I have no mercy. There is no forgiveness. There is no nothing. And there are a lot of bridges that are burning right now in my life. And I have lit those flames and they are burning, and I'm grieving those processes. So this episode is ironically perfectly timed as we go through it, but I will probably be a bit quieter, only because I do not want everyone to see me break into an emotional ball of mess. So I will be along for this ride, because parallel to that, I also had maternity or fertility issues. So this conversation all the way around is going to be a doozy, but I am going to appreciate y'all having the dialogue, and I will jump in as I can. But that is that.
Just to piggyback off of what you said about not having grace for people, bitch, I'm right there with you. My high road, she's fucking closed, bitch. Under
Mhm.
construction.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know when
Well,
it's
like,
gonna open back up.
And I love when you said that, and I think it's interesting, and I've always kind of aspired, like, because that is like where it should be and should have been for a long time. And like, there's this like whiplash I feel, though, because I am someone who, like, you continuously are like, okay, bitch, like, have, like, appropriately, like, it's
Be
a good
meaner,
guide to have,
get
be
angry.
meaner. But like, imagine, so as I've been meaner, had boundaries, I'm never gonna lose my softness. I've been through too much hell to be like, for me. But it's bad when I've lost grace, when I have lost that compassion, because me of all people who give too much all the time, and I don't, it's gone.
Yeah, that's
It does
true.
not exist.
It sounds a lot more of a dramatic shift than it does coming from Sarah, or
Because I'm just a hater all the fucking time,
And
24/7.
from
Well,
me,
for me,
who's a seat back shaker. Like, it's just, it doesn't sound as vast, like a different way, like, attitude towards,
It's on
as it
brand
does
for
for you.
us, but
It's
like
not for you, Christina, at all.
Christina's
Yeah.
going through a drastic rebrand right now.
Yeah.
mhm, there is no mercy. So
Yeah.
I will just join those forces for now. I have
We're
no
right there
mercy
with
for
you.
now.
I have made the decision, in the realm of executive orders that affect me. I have made the decision to still try to change my name. So
Oh wow.
we're gonna give it a go. Obviously, there is no option for changing gender markers for me now, but
Mhm.
we're gonna try to change that name. God damn it!
Good.
And if there are lawyers that need to get involved for that, then that'll happen too. But I'm not gonna back down on that. I don't think we should, because I think these are very, very dangerous precedents that are being set right now.
They
So
are.
I think
Yeah.
They are.
I can't like do anything with my passport at this point. It's just got to be, but a name change without a gender marker change
You might
Should
be
not be a
okay.
problem.
be allowed. And if it's not, if somebody tries to do something, then that in and of itself is incredibly dangerous. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So like,
Correct,
gonna-
because that was not a law that was
that
passed. There
is
was no
not in there.
law about changing
Correct.
names.
Correct.
So
So
That's
I
think
sticky.
it's gonna
That's
be-
sticky territory.
yeah, which is why I've decided the other day that I think, like, I should definitely just keep trying to do it. I should try to make it
Mhm.
happen
Yeah.
for other people, for like everybody that's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I think I'm positioned in my timing to do that, to see
Correct.
what it's going to be like. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
But
all.
otherwise,
That's all I can do,
Yeah.
even as an adult, and this is like adult versus trans children things that are happening.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's terrifying, y'all. And like, don't even get me. That's not even going in on the immigrant situation. Like,
I'm just getting fucking whiplash every goddamn other
it's
hour.
on
It's just like,
purpose. It's
No.
it's by design.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When there was a big reality check, and then we can move on from it. When with all of this going on, if there was an executive order put out saying to criminalize parents, like that's all
It's
it
one
would take.
step away from that.
Well, that's the yes. So
Yes.
like it will happen. It's in swoop. It's coming. I know it's gonna come. Here's the problem. Like I am not protected at that point. So
Right.
I'll be gone.
You're protected by the at least for a bit by the molasses slow pace of bureaucracy, at least. But like,
At least.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like that's it. So like I just for the importance of those listening, like because even in safe haven states, if you haven't taken time to read it, you don't need to back to like even in safe haven states, there is still a call from the Department of Justice to investigate safe haven states and practitioners and parents in those states. So they are going after everything. So yeah, so one more swoop and criminalizing it, and then yeah.
you're
So
looking
that's
at
my
60
so
to
just
90 days post that. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So just for everyone to understand that where I'm at. So that's just
Yeah.
why I have no mercy, no fucking grace, not up for debate, not
Right.
fucking up for debate.
Mm-mm.
And
So-
as it stands right now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The current executive order is that they won't use any state-funded or federally funded programs like Medicare or whatever
So-
to pay for gender-affirming care. But
so there's
how? Go ahead. Sorry.
no, finish it. I don't want to.
But just the thought is that, like, not trying to downplay it, but even if that gets through, it sets a harmful precedence because then they're going to start to go after the private insurers. They're going to go after the doctor. Like, it, no matter what, it's a harmful precedent that it's being set
It's-
right now.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you plug these executive orders into ChatGPT and you ask ChatGPT, are there parallels in historical governments to this? And ChatGPT throws out Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. So like,
which I
Yeah,
knew there
so-
were, but like the point was the exercise of having ChatGPT do it anyway. Like,
yeah,
know.
and I think what's interesting is I like every day I go to whitehouse.gov and I look at the executive orders that were done and just get a high level. What's happened is essentially an establishment of a militaristic country, creation of massive defenses, an elimination of anyone who is in defiance of the patriarchal society. So transgender, queer individuals are being next in that space. Like you're a challenge to that. And then what's interesting is now opening up Guantanamo Bay as a migrant holding center. So here come those camps.
and they are
that was
literally
to-
already starting to hold Native Americans places.
They
too.
are.
They're,
Yep.
they're-
Yep. And so Sarah, back to your question about where it's at right now. There's one that maybe it was just yesterday, I don't know, 2 days ago, the executive order that essentially said for the care of trans children, it says that obviously if you're on federal, that's done. Like you don't get that benefit at all. Medicaid is cut. So then you're like, okay, great. I have private insurance. That's great. I'm going to a state for my child that has services. Great. But then you go further down and it says, but if the facility receives any sort of grant, research, or funding from all these, they can't do it. So great. You can go get it done, but that place might not be able to do it because they've lost their funding. So that, and then the next thing was then an investigation into safe haven states that are still providing the procedures, even though they've criminalized it elsewhere. So that is that. And then the one today actually has to do with indoctrination in school systems on gender ideology and race theory. And there's specifically a call out to remove language about white being privileged for being white. There's call out about that, about gender ideology. It's
You can't talk
criminalizing
about a
teachers.
marginalized group of people as
Nope.
being like, less fortunate because they are of those marginalized communities. You can't
Yep.
even teach that anymore.
And they're
according
not
to-
even allow, and he's wanting to not even allow schools that receive funding to support even social transitioning of kids, meaning you can't even affirm their pronouns. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't, they're not allowed to do it. And that's the reality. So I just need to, we're gonna, so
This is so
that's the one
fucking
that is,
dystopian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that it's called the like anti-indoctrination when it's like
That
it-
seems
it's
like
like- it's like-
exactly what you're
it's-
doing.
it's almost like that's exactly what your point was. Yeah. And it's the whole
Yep.
like you have to talk about America as being glorious this day, this like modern times being the best. There is language in that executive order that says that shit.
Yep.
Like it's terrifying the way it sounds. So they
Mhm.
put all the like gender stuff and all the racial stuff, and then they just straight up had these generalized terms that are like, you got to talk good about America in school. Like,
What happened to facts don't care about your feelings?
yeah, their feelings got hurt a little too much, I guess.
Oh,
So
are they snowflakes?
they are, yeah. Anyway. Anyway, there's no way to
Fuck.
fuck. Yes.
Big fuck.
It's big fuck. So yeah, it's just gonna keep happening. I
Yep.
I have been pulled down from Instagram how many times in the last week? But that's
You're
cool.
on their
I'm
shit
gonna keep
list.
doing it. I am on the shit list.
Yes.
That's fine. If I post too many stories at one time, they tell me that I'm they
We think
pause.
your account was hacked. Blah blah blah. We're not gonna help you. We're just gonna delete your shit.
Yeah, and they also won't even like sometimes they'll just be like we restrict certain actions, but then they don't tell you they don't tell me why. Like will you go into the account and the account says it's fine. Like it's really scary. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I will keep posting shit on at least my personal Instagram until it no longer exists for all sorts of resources and things. Y'all read up on all this shit. It's really not good.
Yeah.
I also
I
never post anything that I can't confirm from multiple sources because there is a
Mhm.
lot of misinformation too on our side too, like on what,
Yeah.
stuff that, so like, I don't want to conflate issues or make things like bad because I shared something that ultimately wasn't true. So I try to do what I can to make sure that what I'm posting is
Mhm.
accurate. I will
Yeah.
look it up on a couple of different news sources before I share something out or something like that. So
yeah.
yeah. But I don't care if you get it from me or somebody else, somewhere else. Just read, y'all. Like, educate yourselves.
Get educated. And
Please.
I'm telling you, and like whitehouse.gov, not gonna lie, it's stomach churning, but it's like,
It is
That's
straight
the
out the
official-
mouth. It
but
is
it's straight out the mouth. And it is, yeah. So I would really recommend anyone who has a concern, and obviously if you're still here with us, you more than likely align with us. You need to get educated because even in these things are little nudges to like go after other marginalized spaces. So there's just I would get educated real quick.
I've already made the decision to not change my name when I get married. I'm not doing that because I don't want to give any fucking one an excuse. Oh, this document doesn't match that document, doesn't match that document because the Social Security lost the thing. So sorry, you can't vote now, bitch, because of a
Mhm.
paperwork error. Like, I'm not risking that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, that's another thing. For the love of God, vote in all of your local elections. Don't
Oh,
just come
mhm.
out once every 4 years. Vote. Contact your people, your representatives. Drive them fucking crazy. I just sent an automated one because I'm in South Carolina where they want to impose the death penalty on women that get abortions. So I just sent one today to my representatives, and one of them already sent me this canned thing about, well, I'm concerned about the child, back to me. But y'all, like, become insufferable.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, and it's all legal, and it is your duty as a citizen to do it. Even like this is like like these are people that are supposed to be representing you. So
They work for
They
you,
work-
bitch.
they
You
work
pay their
for
bills.
you.
You work for me now, bitch. I'm the captain.
We're really testing how much YouTube's gonna let us say tonight, aren't we?
We are. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck.
I
Nope.
just have like a
No.
horrible.
I'm just they're gonna
I
follow
just-
me over
I-
from Instagram.
I feel like Kathy Bates in The Stand,
yeah.
and I don't.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
bitch. Anyway,
Yes. Okay.
but we're gonna
so,
try and have a good time. We will try and help you forget about
will
the clown
yes.
car show of just revolving bullshit for
That
an
being
hour and a half.
said, for the next who knows how long, we're probably going to be pretty political at the beginning of these things. Buckle up. I don't know what else to say because, like,
Yeah.
I don't plan on being quieter. Let's put it that
Nope.
way.
And
but I also
resistance. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
no go.
I was going to say resistance has to show up wherever we can possibly resist. So we will resist. That's all I was going to say.
Something about resistance and the beauty of it is joy, though. And that's
Mhm.
what we're also going to do. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to tell you episodes about your favorite show that
Yes.
ended a long time ago.
Yes.
But we are on February 28th, just rolling right into this last part of this. There is a day of reading that is happening, and I found out through Human Rights Campaign. And I asked these two today when I put this together really fast, but I was like, hey, what if we use our podcast and do one of these readings? Obviously, we're not like, they're not going to be kids listening to us, but these are kids' books, basically, that are, all about LGBTQIA2S plus adjacent there or whatever individuals in these books that are very often banned from libraries and not able for these trans kids to find. So we're going to do a reading out of these books, a la like all the other places that are doing them, but we're going to do it on our podcast at 8 p.m. on that Friday. And I have the picture right here. So with the little details, going to cover my face up, but everybody else, you can see your faces still. But
Yay.
yeah, it's a celebration of trans stories. My college roomie, Erin, who is a youth librarian, is going to come on with us. We're going to read 4 different books. We're going to show you some other books that are recommendations for you to suggest to people. And we're going to talk a lot about all this stuff so that we don't do this too much on your regularly scheduled Stargate episodes. But yeah, come out on Friday, February 28th, 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET. It is not an open to the public live stream, but it is a free ticket through Eventbrite. And the link is in this video description. So if you want to come, click and redeem one of those tickets and you'll get the link and everything for it. So we're just keeping it a little safe, keep the community safe for that event. Basically.
You want to check
Real
your
quick.
mic?
Yeah, your bike's going in and out.
I don't know if it's.
Is going in and out.
Now you're good.
That sounds much better. Yeah.
You just need to get closer.
Did
I wasn't
everybody hear
sure.
my shout out?
Yeah.
Yeah. It might
Yeah.
be your internet too.
You should have just like interrupted me beforehand.
No, we could hear
can-
it.
Yeah.
we
we
could hear
blah,
it, but it was just
blah,
going,
blah, blah.
no, it was just going like loud and then like semi-quiet and then like louder again.
Is
It was
that
just
like
doing a dip.
noise? Wait, hold on. I probably have.
Do the noise
Yeah,
canceling on?
I'm gonna tell it to not. How do I sound now? Right now.
Much
Good.
better.
Okay, I turned off all the automatic things, so
Okay, that might be helping.
hopefully that'll help. Yeah. So, redeem your ticket and come hang out with us that Friday night. And I think we're gonna try at least take pictures of the pages so we can flip
Yeah.
through books as we read them, and we'll
Yeah.
each be reading a book. So like, just imagine you're a kid back at the library during reading time. Yeah, it'll be cute and hopefully informative. And I will find some other resources and donation options for people before then. So if you do want to contribute more, you'll know where you can put things, basically. That's what I got. We don't have the
Sounds
companion burger
good.
today. We got more coming very soon, though, but not today.
All right. So we are talking about season 4, episode 16, titled 2010.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite mini arcs, so to speak. Like a mini. It's a 2-episode thing. I'll spoil it right now for a 25-year-old show. We do get a follow-up. This is not one where they just leave us, like they edge us, and then we're like, oh fuck, like, do we know what happens? Like what? Like we get that a lot, especially in the earlier seasons. It's like, well, fuck, we just don't ever know what's gonna happen again. Oh well, I guess. And then they start to later on, like right around now, even like in season 3, sprinkle in some follow-ups that you kind of don't expect because you've
Mhm.
just been used to being edged so much, and you're just like, oh well, it is what it is. And then it's such a surprise when we do get a follow-up. And this is one of my favorite ones, I think. Um, it it asks a lot of questions. It is so morally complex. The villain is unlike any that I think we've seen before.
Mhm.
A very interesting villain. And yeah, I think the concept altogether, how we go into the future at this point. We're at the time of the show, we're in the year 2000, and we go to the year 2010.
Which is now in
Oh,
the past, but you know, it's
correct.
fine.
I really did want to find, then I ran out of time, but I wanted to find a list of all the pop like music and everything around 2010 so we could just all imagine what was playing on the radio when everybody was in their sad beige gray outfits in this show, in this episode.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but that is why Katy Perry's Firework was on the Instagram thing, because that is from 2010.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, Sarah, this episode makes me think of the trope that you've talked about before, which is the like perfect city, but like what's going on underneath. I
The
feel like this
horrible utopia. Yeah,
technically falls under that trope. Actually,
it does.
I was thinking
You're
about
totally
that
right.
earlier today. Yeah,
That I will never shut up. That episode of Stranger Worlds
yeah,
fucking traumatized me.
yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, oh god, the child is like a battery, and he's getting
He's just
sucked
like,
dry. Oh,
yeah, it's not quite that bad. I mean, it is bad, but you know, they don't, in the episode, the way they crafted the episode, you don't see quite as bad like what is happening, but it is essentially that bad. Like,
oh, yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
So, overall thoughts on this episode before we get into it. Anything? I kind of already
I mean,
said my piece.
it's probably one of my most rewatched episodes out of the whole series. It's a banger of a rewatcher for me.
Yeah. It's a good twofer to like watch them back to back.
Yeah, I love doing that.
I also like how they didn't give it to us immediately. Like we don't get the follow-up for this until next season. So like you kind of probably forget about it until you're like, I wonder, I'll have to watch the next episode, the 2001, and see if we even get a previously on Stargate, blah, 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 blah. Like if we even get that, because what was it? I think it was Boo Tomato, whatever the fuck that episode was, past and present. I don't even think it's just known as Boo Tomato. I don't even think we got a follow-up from like previously on Stargate where we see the episode Prisoners where we meet Linnea. I don't think we even got that, which I think was purposeful because they didn't want to give away that we would be like, they wanted it to be the big reveal. So I'll have to see when we watch 2001 if we get the previously on Stargate Mystery 1. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Although, I mean, I guess back in the day when you only were able to watch it one time and you probably don't remember everything word for word, even remembering that it was the Ashen might not have triggered you immediately after a year, basically.
That's true, but they do have the vehicles, the plot vehicle of the note of like, we received this note through the Stargate and it had your blood on it and your, so like that would be I think enough to refresh people's memory to be like, oh, that episode.
Yeah,
So
I
that
do
they
think there
wouldn't
was
have
a
to do.
previously. I do think there was for some reason, but I could be wrong. Somebody out there will tell us for sure.
Yeah. But
No need
even
to do our
then,
research.
yeah. But yeah. So are we ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. My overall thought is I really enjoy this episode. I love a good dystopian story anyway. However, they're hitting real close to home these days, but I think I still love a good dystopian story. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah.
Yeah. I like the fact that we're trying to save it from the dystopia, and it gives me hope.
Yeah.
So just a real quick, so that we can get through some exposition, kind of overview of this episode is: a decade into the future, Earth's alliance with a highly intelligent race of aliens has rendered the SGC obsolete, and the Stargate program is public. But when Carter uncovers a terrifying secret, she must reassemble SG-1 to send an urgent message to the past. Woo! Spooky. So, our episode opens with a man who we find out to be Joe, sitting at an outdoor cafe reading the newspaper. The headline on this reads, because I grabbed that real quick: "A Shen promised anti-aging vaccine." Sam approaches and apologizes for being late. They are married, and she tells Joe that she just found out. She is sad, and tells Joe that it's not either one of them's fault. They just have to keep trying. And they are talking about children. Joe even says he thought they'd be on their second child by now. So they are struggling to conceive a child. They're trying to have a kid. Something is not right. We find out Joe is an ambassador for Earth who travels off-world regularly, and that's where he is headed to right now. And we can see that Earth's technology has made vast advances in the past 10 years. They're able to teleport from the cafe to the Stargate terminal immediately. We don't know how far that is, if they're like in a completely different state, or if it's just like a couple blocks. We don't know. But the
Spread out
teleportation
in little pads. Like, how spread out
Yeah.
are those? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe tells Sam maybe we should get a second opinion, but Sam tells him the Ashen are hundreds more years advanced in medicine than they are. He mentions some kind of ceremony for Sam that's being held, and that Earth wouldn't have even met the Ashen if it weren't for her. We hear the Stargate activate, and Joe turns to leave, and we have our opening credits. So there's a lot of disposition in just this opening scene. There's this group of people called the Ashen. They are extremely advanced. They have helped Earth advance medically as well as technologically. The Stargate program is public. We see there is an open terminal. I call it the Stargate airport, basically. That's what it looks like. It's like an airport terminal. And there are people coming and going. It is very normal. So that's kind of what we get from this 5-minute opener, if it's even 5 minutes. So what do we know? Let me just run through this. The Stargate is public. There's a confederation of 9 planets that was mentioned that have allied with a very advanced race called the Ashen, who have provided Earth with amazing advanced technology and medicine, and this alliance was facilitated by SG-1. They were the cause of this. So we cut to the Stargate airport. Should I call it the Starport? I was thinking of that, but that sounds like a rocket. That sounds like something like Deep Space Nine. The Starport.
Gateport?
The Gateport, sure.
Yeah.
So we cut to the Gateport for this special ceremony, and a screen appears with a special announcement from President of the United States, who is Kinsey. Clue 1 that we're in the worst fucking timeline possible. Is that not a clue?
Wells, I feel like you should read this.
Yeah. Also, quick shout out to Mara, who didn't realize in our thumbnail that we replaced our faces on the screen instead of having
we replaced
Kinsey's.
Kenzie because
Yeah.
I feel like they would rather watch us than Kinsey, just personally.
Yeah.
I can read Kinsey here.
Do it. This is some nice exposition.
My fellow Americans, 10 years ago this very day, a team codenamed SG-1, then working in secret, came upon an alien race, the Ashen. With that introduction, I was able to forge the greatest alliance this country, indeed this world, has ever known. I read from Colonel Jack O'Neill's mission report of that first contact. These folks sound too good to be true, willing to share their science and technology, friendly, smarter than we are. One thing's for sure, the Goa'uld are coming. The Ashen could save our asses. Well, guess what, Jack? They did. Jack O'Neill could not be here today, but those candid words hurriedly scratched down in a mission report 10 years ago were prescient. Membership in the Ashen Confederation guarantees the security, the health, and the future of every human being on God's earth. Dr. Samantha Carter, Dr. Daniel Jackson, Teal'c, would you please step forward? Though the nation's business has kept me from being with you in person, nonetheless, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've done for me and for our country. God bless you all.
Boo. Anyway, in the crowd, we see Janet, Teal'c, Sam, and Daniel all in their sad gray outfits, except for Teal'c.
Sad gray outfits for sad gray humans.
For real, man. Except for Teal'c, I think he's in like some Jaffa robes. We also see that his forehead symbol is gone. He got that removed. And we don't know why Jack and or Hammond are not there. They are both. Jack was mentioned. He couldn't be there today, so we know he's still out there. But where is Hammond in all of this? Because you think he'd be here. There are 7 airmen at the top of the Stargate steps. They raise their rifles and they fire the shots into the air. And we can see the Ashen representatives like they're like, this is distasteful. We don't like this. Like they're like holding their hands over their ears. They're like this display of aggression and masculinity or whatever. Which honestly, agree. Cut to the after party. So it's SG-1 minus Jack plus Janet and Joe. Toast to Hammond. So this, you kind of get the idea. We gather that he passed away 6 years ago because they're like, how long has it been? 6 years? So we kind of get the idea that he is no longer with us. We find out that Jack chose not to come and has very strong feelings about the Ashen Alliance. Daniel expresses disappointment that Jack didn't come to see them. Janet says she almost didn't come either. And that it's easier for Daniel because his job wasn't made obsolete. The Ashen are so advanced medically that the doctors have been made obsolete on Earth. One of the Ashen, Molam, appears and pulls Joe away to discuss ambassador stuff. Teal'c plans to return back to Chulak, but Sam convinces him to stay for dinner. And we also see this is where I noticed that his forehead symbol was gone. So they disperse and Sam and Janet walk off together. And we have some dialogue between the two of them. Would you like to read that?
Sure.
Mhm.
What was that?
What was what?
Going on again about being obsolete.
Think about it, Sam. We've all taken the anti-aging vaccine and the anti-cancer vaccine, and now the Ashen have these medical machines that can reverse tissue damage and mend broken bones. I mean, where does that leave me?
I guess when you put it that way, I know what you mean. I mean, half the time the science they're talking about is so far over my head, I feel like a lab assistant.
Ah, but you have something to do. Okay, enough of that. Tell me, by any chance, are you and Joe?
Not yet. They say it isn't either one of us. We just have to keep trying.
You know, they still let me keep an office in Washington, even though I have nothing to do. So I'd be more than happy to give you a checkup.
No, they said I was fine.
Sam, the medicine I practice may seem like the dark ages now, but I was your doctor for a long time. How long have you been trying?
Almost 3 years.
Yes.
When can we do this? And I have to say, when Sam says when can we do this, it's almost like she's already going, ooh, we're talking about stuff we shouldn't be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Even before they know why. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so like how solid is this like partnership with the Ashen? You know what I mean? Like she's
Yeah.
already like, when can we do this? You know? Like,
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, like, the whole concept of doctors being made obsolete is fascinating to me because it happened in the course of 10 years, which is not a long time. Like, that was 2015. People were doing, like, smoky eye cut creases back then. Like a lot can happen. Trends can change, but, like, it's wild to me that, like, doctors would like just quietly go off into that good night and be like, nope, I paid $200 grand for this degree, bitch. I'm gonna be a doctor. Or like I don't know. That's wild to me. And I think this is an overall theme is the complacency of
Yeah.
like,
I was about to say
wow.
that's what
Yeah.
it really feels like, and that's why it feels so relevant right now too. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They just were like, oh, I guess I don't gotta be a doctor anymore. I'll fuck off. Like, I wouldn't if that was my life's, whether you're a new doctor that just got out of medical school or you've been a doctor for years and years, like that's your life's work. And then these
Mhm.
assholes just come in and be like, we got you. You don't have to do anything. Beep boop beep, broken bone fixed. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. That'd be a very hard. I can understand Janet's resentment. But also I can't, it's wild that they were just like, okay, sure, sounds good. Bye. Like I don't, that's wild to me.
Yep.
Also on a more, I don't know how to say this. Every time they're like, you just have to keep trying. You just have to keep trying. So my brain, I'm sorry, I'm gross, but I'm like, oh, so you just need to keep raw dogging it? Cool. Like that's what I think of. And they're like, just keep trying.
Yeah.
Thanks for that visual.
I'm
I
sure
guess.
there's
I don't
also
know.
like when they say there's nothing wrong, or like it seems like the Ashen are not in the business of giving you any kind of explanation, and at some point,
No.
like that's the complacency thing again, though, because it's like, when are
Mhm.
you going to start actually asking the right questions? Like, how long are you going to let these dudes in all these different ways tell you without,
You know,
you know, like, don't question it. We know better. We know better than you, you know?
and I hate to say it, but Sam is falling into that category of like not questioning it until it affects her directly. And I think that that did not come out of a purposeful place of like, I'm choosing to ignore a very real problem, but it's just you've been lulled into this false sense of security, and then until it directly affected her, then only did she start asking questions.
Yeah. To be fair, though, it was like 2 years. It had only just been 2 years since birth rate started to drop. So you haven't quite noticed yet that there aren't other children around. And fertility is not something you talk about very commonly with most people. So if you're struggling, you don't know who around you is struggling with it. So to be fair, maybe a few more years and it would have been like, there are
Very
not
evident.
babies.
Yeah.
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 They do
Like,
say it
whereas
sooner or later too. They're like, you know, surely they can control the media, you know?
Yeah.
They
Like
say
why
that.
aren't
Yeah.
people talking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing that is such a shame, that especially women are shamed into not talking about it and honestly take the brunt of the blame when, listen, bitch, it takes two to tango. There are two people in this equation that could be a factor in this, and it might not just be me that's a problem. Let's get
No.
like there's so many times when like that's not even a factor of like, hey, maybe you need to get your swimmers checked. It's always like the blame is placed on the woman in this scenario, and it really fucking breaks my heart because then there's this shame that's kind of felt around it of like, there's something wrong with me, I'm broken, I can't talk about this, I don't want people to know, when it's incredibly common and it's a real problem, and you shouldn't be ashamed to talk about that. And that just makes me really fucking sad for people. But we cut to Janet's office and the dialogue continues. So would you guys like to finish that off?
Sure.
Sam, I don't know how your Shen doctor could have missed it. And frankly, I just don't think it's possible he could have.
What?
You can't have children.
They said everything was normal.
In every other way, it is.
Then this is a mistake.
Here, let me show you the scan. She turns it. There's no room for interpretation. Clearly, your ovaries are damaged.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know what may have happened, what may have caused it, or when it may have happened, but obviously it was some time.
No. I want to know why the Ashen doctors looked me in the eye and told me that I was okay. Why did they lie to me?
I don't know, but I'm willing to help you find out.
So this is
Me
kind
and
of the
Turlene, add it together.
I
Hell
know.
yeah.
This is like all I could think of watching this episode, though, is Millie and Turley. Like all I could think about is the two of them in real life, because that is
I know.
absolutely the fuck
Terrell
how
always
this
just
would go
going,
down.
Terrell always just going, men, look at this.
I can't,
Man.
I can't watch the two of them without also understanding their dynamic in real life, and it just gives me so much joy.
yeah.
Love it.
So we find out this is kind of what's going to drive our plot. What is going on? Why were these doctors lying to her? If they're so advanced, they should have been able to see what is going on. What is happening? So Sam enters a lab where Mullen is working, and they're working on a project to collapse a planet into a star. And I'll just run through this really quick, but
Yeah.
he's basically saying, like, did your people ever imagine you could convert a planet into a star? And Sam's like, not really, bitch. Like, this is pretty big.
We have space shuttles, okay?
Yeah.
Like
A shuttle, huh?
a shuttle. Yeah. Like oh,
So
God.
he said, I should think, oh God, they talk all fucking weird. I should think you would have at least considered it given the rapid growth of your population and viability of the planet. And Sam said, humans just don't think quite as far ahead. So that's already some really fucking weirdy, the rapid growth of your population and sustainability and viability of the planet. Like, weird. But essentially, they're trying to collapse Jupiter into another sun to expand like the growing seasons on the planet so they can grow more food.
I feel like that
Bitch, the
gravity
globe is
just
warming.
not gonna
The,
work.
the globe is warming, bitch. Like one sun is enough.
Have they not read Three Body Problem? I feel like the sun's that far. Like, what are we gonna? Then are you just gonna trade off? Like,
Is it
what,
gonna be
what are
constantly
orbits gonna do?
daytime?
Like every
Is it-
time we get to this scene, I'm like, how are these orbits going to work? Like, it just drives me crazy.
Will it be perma-day all the fucking time?
Yeah.
That would be horrible. I need some really strong
I
blackout
just feel like it would
curtains.
rip the planets apart in between, but that's just me. Like,
Yeah.
anyway.
So Sam asked for access to the Shen computers to complete her calculations. They're just so much more fancy, it would take her less time, and it's normally forbidden, but Mollum allows it, and he gives her access and he leaves. So then Janet comes in and they start to do their digging. They're like me on Facebook when I'm like, who is this person married to and what is their brother's name and where do they, like that's yes. FBI mode activated. And Janet poses the thought that maybe this hasn't just happened to Sam and has also happened to other people as well. They do a general search for human reproductive statistics. And according to the records, the worldwide birth rate has dropped 91% in the past 2 years, bitch. That's insane. And it's happened everywhere the anti-aging vaccine has gone. This is systematic. Jenna is immediately freaked out. She's like, oh, fuck. Turn that shit off now. Like, she was like, turn it off. I don't want to look. Turn it off.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can't let the Ashen know that we know. Like, this is bad. So do you want to read that little bit of dialogue?
Sure.
Mhm. Sam, you're on the inside. You don't see them the same way I do.
Janet, they have done this to us deliberately. We have to do something.
I know, but we can't talk about it here. We'll talk about it tonight at the restaurant, okay? I have to go.
So we're at the restaurant. It's all of SG1 minus Jack plus Janet. So Daniel, Carter, Fraser, and Teal'c.
I can do,
I'll grab the Teal'c.
and I'll just do Daniel Fraser just to keep it in.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is Daniel. Okay. Guys, I think it would be public knowledge if something this catastrophic was happening to the entire population.
Would it? The Ashen can convert planets into stars. You don't think they could control the media if they wanted to?
Assuming the Ashen could keep something that big secret, it's been 10 years. Why now?
We were completely taken in. This is why they didn't have to fire a shot. It's slow, methodical, and painless.
Okay, then why provide a vaccine that almost doubles the human lifespan? That doesn't make any sense, William Fraser says, unless that's the mechanism they've used to sterilize the population.
They're certainly patient enough. All they have to do is wait.
Then within 200 years, there will be very few, if any, humans remaining. The Ashen will have this world to themselves.
Daniel says, we have to do something. I don't know. I mean, tell somebody. And Fraser says, the night before General Hammond died, he called me and said he needed to speak with me about something very important, something that he couldn't discuss over the phone. The next day, I told the Ashen doctors, I I said, this is impossible. He could not have died of a heart attack. He was in perfect health, but they said their diagnostic machines were infallible.
You believe he was murdered?
At the time, no. I believe, like everybody else, the Ishin were our saviors. Oh goodness, Daniel says, so we can't tell anyone. We have to keep this to ourselves.
Well, I have to tell Joe.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Daniel, if you're even suggesting he knows,
I'm just saying that it's all of our lives are at stake here.
yes, he can help us.
How? Say he goes to the president goes to the rest of the world. Even if what's left of every army on Earth mobilizes, what are they going to do? And Fraser says, fight back.
They would be defeated, as were the Goa'uld.
And Daniel says, we have to think of something else.
Like what?
I don't know, contact the Tolan, find the survivors of the Tok'ra. I mean, there have to be some left out there. Or Teal'c, what about the Jaffa?
Few remain loyal to the Tari since the war's end, and there are very few symbiotes available for implantation.
We don't even control the Stargate. God, what have we done? This morning we were celebrating.
And now I wish we could just take it all back.
So this is the wake-up call, where they're like, they realize and they're assessing how fucked they are and how bad the damage is.
Yeah.
And it's bad. They're like, we fucked up, and there's nobody out there that can help us. All of the militaries of the world would not stand a chance. They're realizing how bad this is. Sam brings up the events that happened in the episode 1969, and if they can use a solar flare, they can send a message through the Stargate to their past selves and stop everything from happening. With the Ishen technology, they can accurately predict a precise time for the solar flare. So Fraser says, okay, wait a second here. We're considering changing the lives of the entire human race on Earth. Do we have that right? And Sam says, if we don't, then we live to see the end of the human race on Earth. So that's a very important question. Like Janet posing, do we have the right to alter the timeline like this? Like, this would alter her, or so many people that were saved by the Ishen and their medical technology won't be saved. So it's like,
well, yeah,
it's a big question. But then it's like, does Earth even deserve to go on?
Yeah.
Looking at us right now.
Debatable.
How many
So-
seconds is it until midnight now in real life anyway?
Oh
59.
God, I
Seven
don't.
then?
Oh, not the doomsday clock. I can't.
It's the closest.
59
it's ever been.
seconds. Mm-hmm.
So
less than a minute.
great.
Wow. Okay, continue.
Sorry, existential crisis moment.
Cue the laughter. I told you. I just laugh because I can't do anything else.
So, cut to Sam walking up to a cabin. She is looking for Jack, and she finds him out back. It's a less than welcoming reunion. Sam tries to lighten the mood by making a joke about, like, oh, is this where you tried to drag me to all those years? So this is where Jack tells her to, like, drop the sir. I'm retired. That's my old life. Like, cut it out.
Yeah.
Um.
And she's like, okay, Jack. Like, it's
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't sound
Also,
right in her mouth.
she's wearing the world's fucking longest cardigan I've ever goddamn seen. With
It's
a hood.
one of those. Okay,
I used to have one like
that
that.
was massively popular in the year 2000. Like that.
I still
thing.
see it now. I don't want
Oh wow.
a dress
Sorry.
sweater that goes down to my knees.
Bonnie gave me a like trench sweater too one time, and I was like, I'm never gonna wear this, yo. Like,
You guys, literally right here behind me is a trench
know you
sweater,
have
so
one.
shut the
I know.
fuck up. It's literally right here, Sarah.
Christina,
I'm just
Christina,
saying it looks
literally.
bad on me.
Christina, I was given one of those. Does that make any sense? No, no.
But I'm just dying because you're like hating on it. I'm like, there's one right behind me on my chair.
To me, the color choice and everything was a little weird. It's like a really light,
Yeah.
like fat. It's not even knitted material. It's like something. I know they were trying to make it feel like kind of futuristic or whatever,
Future.
like the rest of the sad beige gray clothes in this episode, but she's got jeans and a t-shirt underneath. Come on now, like, you know.
Yeah, where were the skinny jeans and all the hipster shit that was happening in 2010?
They didn't know yet. They didn't know that. They didn't know the jeans were gonna get quite that skinny. So
No,
No.
no
That's
emo
true.
scene hair.
no.
Ugh.
Oh
Yeah.
god. So the clip starts with this line that's in here. So
All right, so we have a clip because we didn't want to just read up all the dialogue.
right.
So I made Wells pull the clip.
So we need
It's
to
not
talk
even the whole
over
clip.
though, because YouTube's gonna get mad at us about playing a clip. And I
Even though
did
it's
originally
Pulled from YouTube, right? You pulled the clip from YouTube, and they're gonna
Daily
get mad at
Motion,
us.
Daily Motion.
Okay, okay.
But I reversed it. So if anybody gets weirded out, if you're like me and you've watched this episode a billion times and it feels wrong, I
That's
just
why.
reversed it. I also have a version that uses the trickster voice from TikTok, but there's some really like heinously done ADR in this as well. So I wanted to keep the original audio. So you'll see. If you don't know what ADR is, I'll tell you again at the end of the clip. But let's just watch the clip first.
Doing here?
It turns out we made a mistake. A big one.
Which one? We made a few.
Our alliance with the Ashen.
Oh, that.
Mhm.
Not working out, is it?
These are
Gosh, I
rare
wish I'd
enough.
seen that coming.
That I told
Oh,
you
wait.
so.
Mhm.
I did see that coming.
It isn't what you thought.
Just gonna watch now.
A couple of days ago, I found out.
Not yet.
I
Okay, not
can't
quite yet.
ever have
The
children.
sad part first, and then the ADR.
Her hair looks great.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
So was I.
Genuinely sorry. I need to catch this ADR shit.
Yeah, it's
According
coming.
to the Ashen doctors, I was
Oh,
but not according to Dr. Fraser. We got into the Ashen computer network.
It's
They keep
still ADR.
statistics
This
on
whole part.
everything. In the last couple of
Now
years,
it's back to
without our
real.
even knowing it, they
Did you
have
hear that
managed to
shift?
Yes.
sterilize over
Yeah.
90% of the world's population. I mean, the other 10% are probably just a matter of time.
So everybody listen to this shift that happens. So hold on, where is it? There's like 3 or 4 sentences in this
Mhm.
like bad ADR. And it's not she's not bad at it. You can just tell the difference when it's not live.
According to the Ashen doctors, I was fine. But not according to Dr. Fraser.
This whole thing is.
We got into the Ashen computer network. They keep statistics on everything.
Now it's back to normal now.
In the last couple of years, without
Yeah.
us even knowing
Yeah.
it, they have managed
It's
to
that.
sterilize over 90% of the
Because she
world's
was in a booth
population.
somewhere having to
I mean,
re-record
the
like
other
all of
10% are
those
probably
lines.
just a matter of
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Well, they are actually outside. That's not some shitty green screen of like a lake backdrop. They're actually outside. So I imagine there was some kind of environmental sound that messed it up, and they had to do it that way.
They either did that, or I'm still convinced that when
Oh.
they started filming this episode, they were all calling them the Ashen.
Mhm.
Mm.
I feel like they decided to change it. Yeah.
Jack does. I catch him calling them the Ashen a couple of times, but they're like it's on brand for him because he's always calling people by
Correct.
the wrong shit.
Mhm.
So
Jack calls them the Gould instead of the Goa'uld, but Sam
me too, though.
would be more likely to be like, official, proper
Yeah.
pronunciation.
So this is some really good like Sam Jack stuff here. He is genuinely sorry and sad for her when she tells him that she can't have kids.
Mhm.
But he's also like, I fucking told you. Like, I get that. For whatever reason, he did not agree with what the Ashen were doing. Like, he was like, this is too good to be true. My spidey sense is going off. I don't fucking like this.
Yeah.
Musical stylings of purring by Scary.
I know. Sorry.
I like it. She needs to give you those healing rhythmic purrs.
This is how you know how I'm not doing well is when she shows up, because she never shows up.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yo, you need some love and time."
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
we're
feel
just
like
gonna
I'm
get some scary purrs.
endangering myself by saying this, but Jasper has not barked yet, so
Is he on his new medication yet?
not yet. But he had a big
Oh.
day. he had a big day at the vet, so I think
Yeah.
he's just real tired. I'm gonna give it to him
Understandable.
after we finish. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah. So Sam does tell him of this plan that they have. They're like, we're gonna send a note back through the Stargate to help our past selves, and we need your help because like it's gonna be easier if you help us. And let me see.
We can pick this up
He
somewhere.
poses the question, like, just out of curiosity, say we do this, what happens to everything that's happened in the past 10 years? It won't happen. And I highlighted this line. He says, let me tell you something, Carter. You want to erase your mistakes? That's your business. My conscience is clear. I warned everybody. I threw up the red flag, and everybody, including you, shut me down. You're not happy with the way things turned out. I'm sorry to hear that. Personally, I like things the way they are. No more saving the world, just a nice pond with no pesky fish in it. And the single most pressing issue in my life is whether or not to get a dog. So like he's bitter. He's got a lot of resentment because everybody turned on him and did not listen to him. And now they're crawling back and being like, you were
I'm
right.
Jack in this episode. I
Help
relate.
us.
I feel those vibes.
Yeah.
Relate.
I think the next two lines even are very telling because Carter's like, Jack, I'm talking about the future of the human race. And Jack's literally like, yeah, me too. Like, it is that let it burn. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, like,
Yeah. It's almost like he's in that stage where he's like, honestly, you guys fucking deserve it because you couldn't see this coming. And I did. And you made me think I was crazy. And there was nothing to worry about. And then we get a nice dig. He says, let me ask you something. What does your dearly beloved ambassador say about this? Oh, he's big mad. First of all, that guy's weird. I think, Wells, you said at one point he kind of reminds you of Nareem, which, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, they give Sam a type in the whole until like Pete comes around. I feel like they're all that like
NPC fucking looking dudes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like they're just like generic white men with brown hair. Like
he's just they're very generic looking.
I'm not,
you know what,
I'm not saying they're ugly
gives me
or
the
anything.
same vibes as all of the love interests from the 1980s that show up on the Golden Girls. You know, I'm like, ew, why do we like this guy? I don't like this guy. I don't like the way this guy looks and acts. Like he and Nareem both give me that vibe.
Yeah.
Like almost a little
like,
too dated or something. I don't know, but like
the haircut, like
but like all of the other main characters are like timelessly attractive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
All of them. And then you've got like this rando love interest guy that's like the dude that's hanging out on the lanai with Blanche or something. Like I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. That's what gives me.
Yeah. So basically Jack told her, fuck off. Like, fix your own shit. Sorry. Not sorry. So Sam teleports back to the Stargate airport and tells the rest of
where
them
everybody's just waiting.
Jack's
I
not
wonder how long
coming.
they just been standing around being like, bet this
La la.
conversation's real awkward right now.
Well, you know, too, like, I don't know. You know, they had to make like a Sam Jack thing, right? Like they were definitely playing into that. But I wonder how the conversation would have went if they sent Daniel or Teal'c. Because they could have gotten some really good mileage out of that too, because they are very good friends with Jack. That would just be a different kind of betrayal.
Right.
Without the underlying romance part of it.
Right.
But because Sam is the one who's kind of like the main character of this episode, it made sense for her to go. So their next step is to get the GDO remote. There's only one left on display at the SGC. Teal'c returns back to Chulak as to not arouse suspicion and will return the day they're ready. Cut to the SGC. It is now a museum with a horrible tour guide woman. The whole gate room versus embarkation room thing. Like, this little kid.
It's so on par for a tour guide. Like, it's so like.
The whole, and we're walking. And we're
walking.
I couldn't do that job. Not that way, at least. But there's this whole, like, debate about, like, the gate room versus it being called the embarkation room.
The little kid's like, it's the gate room.
And then even Daniel's like, no, it's
idiot.
She says no. And then Daniel pipes up in the back and he's like, no, yeah, it was called the gate room. She's like, actually, that was the unofficial term for it. The real word is the embarkation room. And then they even come, because there's like kind of displays set up in the corridors where it's like this table of artifacts and this. And she comes to like a display about SG1 and she's like, here's the most popular but not my favorite team,
Favorite?
SG1. And it's like,
Rude.
first of all, how can you not tell that two of them are in the crowd? They're both like, what? Sam's like 5'10". Like she's tall as
she's
fuck.
very obvious. Like
Yeah.
her hair, like she's still in that white jacket. Like if you're trying to be
Yeah.
undercover, that is not the outfit you're supposed to be wearing.
Daniel at least wore a hat or something. Like, I don't
He's
know.
like cartoonishly dressed to try to be like disguising
Glasses and a hat. Yeah.
glasses and the
Mhm.
fedora. Like they'll never suspect me.
Haha. Do we all do that at the same time?
We did.
Yes.
It's the hero where you can't catch me. Haha.
Ha Oh God.
So yeah, Sam and Daniel are posing as tourists here to see the museum so they can find a way in. When they get to the gate room, they run into Jack and they sneak up into the briefing room and meet with him. He's decided to help them after all. He's already found a couple of Zats, but the GDO is a replica. Just then, Walter appears and he begins to scold him. He's like, hey man, you're not allowed to be in here. And then he realizes that it's SG1, and we find out that he works at the museum as kind of like a tour guide person. And he sees all the stuff they have, and he realizes that they're gonna take them. And Jack straight up is like, "Yeah, we're taking these." And he's kind of like, "No, you can't do that." But Sam is like, "This is very important." And Walter tells them that the real GDO is in the Oval Office on the president's desks. That feels suspicious.
Can we pause for a second and just acknowledge that this is the moment where Walter became Walter?
Yep, I
Mhm.
was gonna hit on
And-
that. That's
It was because of Richard Dean Anderson.
not
Not
knowing his name.
His name, yeah,
So they just went
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, it works.
Walter.
Sure. Yeah. But I love it because Jack's like, yeah, we'll bring him back on Thursday. We'll bring it back on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Totally.
Good to see you,
Walter-
buddy. Finger
Walter's
gun.
like, Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, bitch, we ain't coming back.
Yeah. As Walter is leaving, he's just like, Thursday. Like, don't forget.
Mhm. Thursday.
Oh, Gary.
So they brainstorm about how they can make this work without the GDO. They can't use radio to be like, alert, alert, we're from the future, we're in danger. Like, they can't do that because the Ashen have these security measures in place to prevent that. Sam thinks she can convince Joe to get the GDO for her. Cut to Sam's home. Joe comes home and she begins to tell him what they discovered. Cut to a restaurant. Janet, Jack, and Daniel are working out the note that they should send back in time. Daniel proposes the more simple the better, and he wrote down in his own handwriting so his past self can recognize it. Jack wonders why they can't tie it to a rock and toss it through, but the defenses would prevent that as well. So Jack says everyone should write their own note just in case they don't make it through the first try. Cut back to Sam and Joe. So we pick up after the bomb has been dropped. Do you guys want to read that?
Sure. Joe says, you're wrong.
I saw the numbers, Joe.
The Ashen doctor said you were fine.
This isn't just about me. I read this right from an Ashen terminal. Malum gave me access to work on something else. The birth rate has been cut by over 90%.
Oh my God. It was supposed to be a third of that.
You knew?
The Ashen
Cue
insisted
ominous
on it.
music.
No, you need to be queuing. I never thought the levers
The
would eat
lepers
my
eat my
face.
face. Whoa. I love that
I
girl so
never
much.
thought. That's
Mhm.
all I thought about this time around.
Mhm.
The Ashen said, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Honey, they see farther ahead than we do. They knew that if we didn't limit growth,
Is that what you call this?
this obviously isn't what we agreed to.
I can't believe this.
We didn't have a choice, Sam.
You sold us out.
You think this was my decision?
You could have told me.
Oh, come on. You know how it works. Before the alliance, you spent most of your adult life in secrecy.
Please, that was different.
Sam, it's the same.
No.
It's exactly the same. Our population was unsustainable. Without drastic measures, the Ashen didn't think we were worth investing in. Obviously, they went too far, but I can't believe they did this deliberately. There must be some sort of reverse medical procedure they have.
You still don't get it.
Sooner or later, the gold would have wiped us out. Would you prefer that?
The Ashen way is slower. That's all.
They're not limiting growth. I have to talk to the president.
Yes, you do, but not about this.
Bum, bum, bum.
So he was in on it.
The leopards would eat my face.
Sing it
Yep.
slower now. Ah.
The leopards would eat my face.
I love that creator so much. Francesca Ramsey, if you
Oh, I just got my
need a
tote
plug.
bag.
Oh, nice.
I got
You
the
should've.
I never thought the leopards would eat my face tote bag.
I love it.
Amazing. She took that tweet and she's got a thriving career for
I
the
am
next 4
happy
years.
to financially support her, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Sam pulls out the fake GDO and asks him to switch the fake one for the real one, and she warns him not to say a word or the Ashen will have him killed. Cut to the Ashen lab. Sam is working on predicting when the next flare will happen when Joe arrives. He agrees to give the GDO to Jack if he promises that Sam will take no part in this operation. He says, "This is not negotiable. You don't want to tell me what you're planning, that's fine. But if it involves GDOs and involves the Stargate and the terminal is the last heavily defended place left on this planet, I will not let you risk Sam's life." First of all, not your
This
choice, bitch.
conversation icks me out. Yeah, big time.
It's
like
like-
two men talking
Mm.
about how Sam's going to like make her own decisions or not. Like I do not
Yep.
like it.
Nope.
Do not like it.
Mm.
If
Barf.
it could have been saved by Joe having this exact same conversation, but with Sam. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll give this to Jack, but you have to promise you won't be there. You know?
Yeah.
That would have been fine because then, like, you know, but no,
They're
he's got to
trying
have
to
that
make this-
conversation with Jack. Like, nah.
Gross love triangle thing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you're right. It's gross. I don't like it. But Jack agrees because apparently, like, well, we can just tell her what to do.
Although the way he said okay, it's almost like Jack knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, this isn't my decision anyway, because he's like, yeah, okay. And he
Mhm.
like
Let's
he
move
gives up on it pretty quickly, you know, like in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, he gives in pretty quickly. And I
He's like-
like to think to save this scene in my brain, I like to think it's because Jack goes, but like Sam's just gonna do whatever the fuck she wants anyway, you know.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I like to think.
Yeah. So the computer signals the next solar flare will be in 57 minutes. The plan is on. After the Stargate airport, Jack now has the GDO. Jack,
My
Janet,
anxiety
and
can't, by the way, with this 57 minutes, like, do you know the like that paralysis you have when you have an appointment like later in the day?
oh yeah, and you
Mhm.
can't. Do
And we're
anything.
already within an hour. I'd be like, well, we got to find the next one because clearly we're not going to do this in time. Like,
Yeah,
that's my anxiety when it comes to being on time about things.
yeah. It's a lot to do, and like
57
now or never.
minutes. Oh
It's
God,
now or never, bitch. Like
what's traffic
Lo-
like in the
lock
teleporter?
in.
We'll never make it in time.
It's like we gotta lock the fuck in and get this done.
Yeah.
You know those sounds are it's like if I have 30 seconds left to live, this is the song I want to listen to. I wonder if like those kind of conversations were I got 57 minutes. Do I want to get anything in before then?
Right. Oh God.
So Jack, Janet, and Daniel are all there. Janet is traveling to Chulak so that like she can give the pass off to Teal'c of like, okay, this is what I think she gives him the gate coordinates
Yeah,
that they need.
because he has to come through and immediately like be able to
dial
quickly as
exactly.
possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Joe wants Sam to leave, but she refuses. And if they're successful, he's like, you know, it won't matter where they are. because the timeline will be altered and they'll just like dissolve away into nothingness. Like they will cease to exist. While Jack is waiting, Mollum runs into him, and Jack makes up an excuse that he is there to meet up with Teal'c. Teal'c arrives through the gate with a staff weapon and opens fire. Daniel does the same at a security checkpoint, the TSA, Stargate TSA thing, with the Zat that they took from the SGC, and Jack takes out Mollum also with a Zat. Teal'c begins to dial the address that Janet gave him, and the defenses start to kick in, and they're just these like little... They look like those security cameras that are mounted on like retail establishment ceilings and walls and stuff, and they start to shoot like lasers out. So the defenses kick in. He is shot. I think he manages to dial out the entire gate address. The alarms are going off. We hear like over an intercom system that there's like a terrorist attack in progress. People begin to evacuate, and then as people come out, Sam sees what's happening and she goes back in. Jack dials the GDO and shoots a harpoon so he can zip line down to the gate.
Gotta have a
He's
good
kind
zip
of
line.
Yeah, he's up on this higher level. Teal'c collapses. He is finally taken out by the defense system. As Jack lands, he is also shot at, and he only gets halfway up the steps before also succumbing.
R.I.P. Mhm.
Yeah, and to be clear, they are dying. This is not like, oh, I've fallen and I can't get up. Like this, they are dead.
Yeah, those little pew-pews are real strong. Like
They're like targeting your like vital organs and just
It's like
Yeah.
Squid Games level, like you dead on sight.
Yeah. But it's like, well, they do bleed. We find out, but like it takes a while too. You'd think they'd be a little more. We don't want them to be like quicker because then the plot wouldn't work. But you know what I mean. So Daniel runs up. He's trying to pick up where Jack left off. He's also gunned down before he can even reach the note. He doesn't even get to the note. It's down to Sam. She makes it to the gate. She picks up the note out of Jack's hand. She's also being shot. She's able to toss the note through the event horizon as she falls to the ground dead. It's that last little
chuck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cut to present day. We see Walter in the gate room. There's an incoming traveler and it's SG-1, but all of SG-1 are there. Even Jack's like, hello? What? I'm here. They open the iris and the note falls through. Jack picks it up and it reads, under no circumstances go to P4C 970, Colonel Jack O'Neill. It is written in his handwriting with his signature and covered in his blood, we assume. The planet was on their mission list, but Hammond takes no chances. He has Walter remove the planet from the system. The episode ends with Sam saying, I wonder why you sent it. I wonder when. And Jack says, yeah, you gotta wonder. So even then they were like, when did you send it? Like they're already thinking like this is from a different
This isn't their
timeline.
first time traveling rodeo. So
Yeah. Even when they talk about it at the restaurant. Sorry, cat meow. Is that Tux?
It was a very demanding meow.
Excuse me.
But he had his like paw up on me. Like,
Aw. I love them.
Oh god.
But Sam mentions when she references 1969, she's like, we'll do like what Hammond did and write ourselves a note. So like that was fresh on their mind. So I'm sure that, that was a wild adventure. I'm sure they got to think about a lot. I would. So yeah, that was our episode. And again, I wouldn't have been surprised if we never got a follow-up on this and they would have just been like, okay, cool, we averted disaster. We'll never see them again. We'll never pick up on this. But they do in season 5. So we will be revisiting this.
And
when
I
we
like
get
that
to episode.
I really like that episode too. I think it's
Yeah.
I'm sure that the writers, they were all like, let's show what would have happened, and like we get to see that side of it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, after that, we don't like Joe doesn't exist anymore. So he's done after that. Like
his current self in 2001 pays for the future crimes of his future self.
Way
in the
better.
other timeline.
Way better in 2001. Yep.
Yeah. Which is a shame, but spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Let's do a comment check. Do we have any good comments?
Once I saved some of them, yeah. there was the talk about, imagine in 2010, like the listening to different songs, and Mara threw out, imagine them listening to Thrift Shop
Oh my god.
or the Harlem Shake.
Oh my god.
Imagine them doing the Harlem Shake trend in the SGC.
No.
Yes. Yes. Can we have that? Scott pointed out, incidentally, the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey is called 2010.
Oh.
Yep. And Mara pointed out what I thought in that scene too. And I'm glad she pointed out because I forgot, my train of thought left me as we were talking about it. But in the museum, the point of it being so inaccurate is to how history is usually purposely shown not correctly or twisted. So it's a really
Mm.
funny way to do that with that with the SGC as the museum, basically, and things being like kind of right but also wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that
Lots
was a
of
good way of putting it, and totally forgot.
history being
Yeah.
rewritten. What a
Let's see.
interesting
that's,
and relevant topic.
Joseph did say this was during the two men arguing about Sam part. She blew up a son, but yeah, treat her like that. Yep. She technically hasn't blown up a son yet, or did she by 2010? Who knows? The timelines are all messed up at that point. but,
Yeah. Yeah. That was barf. That's all I have
Yep.
to say. She was working on converting Jupiter into a sun, so like I guess that kind of counted.
I
Halfway.
yeah.
It's a
I
half rep.
still stand by the fact that our planet would have been torn apart if that had been successful.
And if not,
Gravity doesn't work for me. The gravity.
No.
so we do have a lot of themes and discussions to pick apart from this episode. The first thing I want to highlight on is Jack's skepticism. And when I was listening to Joseph Van and Marty's podcast, another fracking podcast, also on YouTube, they were talking about the episode The Other Side and how Jack was so willing to believe Alar and help Alar. So why was he so skeptical of the Ashen but was willing to go along with Alar and The Other Side? The justification in my head was that Alar and his people were at war. And they were desperate, which made their willingness to help understandable. The Ashen seem to freely give everything and ask for nothing in return. It's that whole, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. What's the catch?
I also think it's a difference of we went to them versus they came to us. Because we went to them, it's going to their society. We're seeing it differently. Whereas, like, you come into our space, you want to mess with what we're doing. It's a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
I also think there's that arrogance that Jack also really hates in 2001. But it's the whole, I'm going to come to your planet and tell you what's best for you.
Which is kind of hilarious considering that's what they do as SG-1.
Correct. But when it happens the opposite direction, like Christina says, like when they come here versus us going there, that's unacceptable.
They're like, wait, no, not like that. Ugh.
We didn't mean it.
But that's
way.
it's a classic example of, like, people don't care about it until it impacts them directly.
It's and it's the colonialism of like the Ashen coming onto Earth and being like, no, you're like small people. We're gonna help you out. Don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the main topics in this episode was a fertility crisis, and that is the mechanism that the Ashen are using to essentially cause Earth's population to go extinct. And I know a lot in the news, we hear a lot today about like the falling birth rate, fertility crisis, however you want to call it. And it's just interesting because to me, in this episode, it was something that was inflicted on the people of Earth against their knowledge. In my opinion, and I could be wrong, it's a very nuanced topic, but I think a lot of the birth rate crisis that we're seeing today is self-imposed. People are choosing to not have children for various reasons, whether they're not ready yet, whether it is a financial choice that they are not willing to make. They can't financially support a kid, whether it's just they don't want to be pregnant. There's so many things that go into it, including current laws and laws trying to be passed that would greatly affect people of reproductive health and age. And
Yeah.
if
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's twofold. I think that we are no longer in these forced marriage situations where like there are solutions if you are raped or taken against your will. So there that alone like
Mhm.
will drop. But we've talked about this before. I don't know where we did it, but we went into a conversation about birth rate versus there was something else. But one is like
Fertility, yeah.
fertility and like and I don't have it in front of me to like go in it. But what's interesting is like one is like a versus 1,000 versus like anyway, I don't remember all of the details, but they are two very different things. So infertility rate versus birth rate are different things.
Yeah.
And birth rates, like those who are of birthing age, what's the rate of people having birth, which is fertility is looking at those who can like or cannot, like what's that look like? And I think that fertility problems have always existed. Because they just don't do any science to like make them better, which I find really interesting because if you actually cared about successful pregnancies, you would invest in women's care to like help understand why fertility issues that have always been around are still always around. Like I know when I had my issues, they're like, honestly, yours has been around since the time of the freaking Bible. There's no answers for it. It's been recorded in various ways as far back as possible, and there's literally been no research into solving it other than the reason is more than likely it's the sperm joining with your body. There's nothing you could have done. It's literally enacted because of your partner. And so they're not going to go and research it any further because that would make them have to go into male and research in that space to figure out why the compatibility issue is. That's a whole thing. So I was like, cool. So essentially, I could get pregnant by somebody else and it would be potentially fine. But because of my current partner, I might die the next time. Like, yeah, it's your compatibility with your partner's sperm, but they will not test into that. So that is a whole area. And that's also why, like the conversation earlier, you just don't talk about it because one, it's embarrassing, but two, it's like, well, that fucking sucks to know that I'm in this scenario, fine, but my partner almost killed me,
Yeah.
like in a way. And like, so, but I also think it's there. Those things are always there. I don't think there's been like a massive increase in like the fertility issues. The ones that have always been there are there. I think diet. I think things in medicinal responses, yeah, have an impact. But what's happened to your point is, yeah, I think people are actively choosing not to. They have better access to birth care or birth control.
Let's
And
let's not avoid the giant issue of mostly everybody on the planet's economy is fucked right now, so nobody can actually afford to have a child.
no,
Like,
Yeah.
why would we bring children into this fucked up thing
Yeah.
that's already half
that's
depleted? Why
in,
would you
in
do that?
Japan. That is the reason, and they're like in crisis mode right now for their birth rates, and it's
Yeah.
100% because in their society, especially, it's frowned upon to have a child out of wedlock. And also they're not like people are not getting married until they have jobs. So like the economy is directly resulting in,
Yeah.
this like crisis birth rate situation in Japan. So
Back to your point really quick, Christina, like I only found out recently that the quality of a man's sperm has as much impact on the pregnancy as like it affects the placenta. It affect like a lot of the time when women miscarry early on, it's because the quality of the man's sperm. And you just don't fucking talk about it because the way that society is like we just look at it as like you're the one that's broken, bitch. You're the problem. And
Yeah.
that's so incredibly sad, and it's keeping us in the dark ages. And you're right, like many of these problems have existed for eons, and the best they can do is be like, sorry, take some fucking birth control about it, I guess, like so that you don't feel like you're dying every month, or just keep trying, and we don't know, maybe it'll stick one time. Like,
I mean, literally, the solution they told me was to just not get pregnant again with my current partner. But if should I ever get a different partner, then they would support me in a high risk pregnancy. But if
That's
I were to do it with
insane.
my current partner, it would be selfish for me to get pregnant with my current partner, which God didn't. It would be selfish because it'd be putting my life at risk, which it would have been. And yeah, but the solve was just get a different partner.
Yeah, that's insane. And then to your point, Wells, as someone who is personally at the age of how old am I? 33. I had to think.
He's a
I'm
baby.
33 years old and
Baby.
have chosen to not have children yet. First of all, I've only entered a healthy, loving, caring relationship in the past 3 years. Had I had a child with my previous partner, bitch. Like, I'm so glad that I had access to reproductive health care so that I could put my uterus on lockdown and make it so that I had the agency to choose, like, I do not want to get pregnant. And even now, I'm still on the fence because of the state of the world that we're living in financially. And if there were more systems in place and more support systems in place to help families, I would be more inclined. When you just look at like getting the fucking kid born, the medical care that goes into it, the expenses, even with insurance, it's like how much money to have a kid. You can't even call the hospital and be like, how much is it to pop out a kid? They can't even tell you that. Like, they can't, because everything, well, if we give you this, then this, and this, and like, you don't even know. You're going into it blind, and then like 5 months later, you get a check in or a bill in the mail for 30 grand to have a kid. The kid's not even born yet, and you're 30 grand in the hole.
Mhm.
How is that sustainable? How is that possible for people? I don't know how people do it. And I don't know if I think too much into it or people don't think into it at all. And I'm not going to tell anyone if they should or shouldn't have kids. That's their very own personal choice. But to me, it's wild where people just accidentally don't even think about it. It just happens. Or like, whoops, I'm pregnant. I guess I'm doing this now. Like, that would give me immense anxiety. Like, I need to have a plan. I need
Yeah.
to know what's happening.
That's just not the reality for a lot of people, though. I mean, the accidents, no matter, even with all the precautions, it can happen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
sometimes against your will. Like, so there's always, I have always had this mindset that no matter what, I'll figure it out. So even
Yeah.
if it gives me anxiety, no matter what, it's an opportunity to have a solution. And I feel like, unfortunately, somehow that got tattooed to my fucking soul, and the world was like, bet, like, where you're gonna have to solve every fucking thing. But the reality is, you do figure it out. It is okay. Like, and like, it's not okay, but
I think of the people that don't have support systems, because
Yeah.
again, it's not even just like having the baby and like going through pregnancy, which could kill you. Let's be fucking honest here. This isn't just like the sunshine and rainbows and beautiful pregnant people.
no,
Like,
I mean,
your teeth
I'm
can fall
lucky.
out. Your body
Mhm.
is permanently altered forever and ever. Amen.
But
You can
yes,
die.
yes, but I would risk it all again to have my kid, because at the end of the day, there's something so fucking amazing about being a mom that, as diabolical as it sounds, like,
I
it
would
is
say
the
I would
biggest
say I would
blessing.
argue for you, Christina. There's something
Yeah.
amazing for you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pressure on people that never have wanted kids. Like,
Yeah.
well, how dare you
And they
not?
shouldn't have
How
to.
dare you not want to do that? It's the best thing ever. Why don't you want to do that? So, like, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just saying for anybody out
Yeah.
there listening, like,
Oh, yeah.
for
No,
Christina, it's the best.
me.
Like, but like,
yes, sorry.
yeah.
Because it was also my choice to only have the one. Like,
Mhm.
I'm the one, no more,
Yeah.
for similar reasons, but it is your choice. You do not have to feel that. But for me, I wanted, and it was the one, and that's how it ended up happening. But so as much as there are the concerns, for me, it was worth risk for me.
Yeah.
But for others, do not put yourself at risk. If that's not something you want, you don't have to do it. You have autonomy over your life, over your choices, and
Yeah, that's the huge difference too, is like I've never been concerned about risks and that being why I wouldn't want a child. I've literally never
Mhm.
wanted a child. And that's the different mindset right there. And that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, if you've never wanted a child, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Because I
That
feel
is
like
what you are doing with your
Yeah.
life. Like that is,
because
you know, and being in the South, especially, they hammer it into
Ooh.
you as an AFAB person that like
yeah.
the best thing that you could do is be a mom to kids. And it's like, fuck you. That is not for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
No, and they make you think you're broken. What's wrong
Mhm.
with you? You don't want you don't want kids, you don't want to be a mom. And so many people, and I think my parents definitely got sucked into the propaganda of like it's just what you do. You just get married and you just have kids and that's what you do. And they didn't put any thought into it. It's just what you do.
as of like, well, this past Sunday, my youngest cousin just had his baby shower for his wife. And so as of whenever this baby pops out, I will be the only cousin without a child in my entire family. Like the only one.
Yeah.
So that's ugh.
There's so much that goes into it. And it's wild to me to think in this fucking timeline, one of the most radical things that I have done with my life is choose to not have kids. And that is seen as a radical choice.
Mhm.
Wild.
I was pressured. I think I'm finally not being pressured anymore because I'm past 40. But it was constant, like in my 20s and 30s from my family, like constant.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
I'm
yeah.
still on the fence. I don't know.
I would rather be the weird I don't know the non-binary term for aunt or uncle, but I would rather be that person. So
we gotta come
a
up with
whole
a
bunch
word
of
for it.
friends' kids. Like that's what I
Frunkle. I don't know.
Frunkle. What?
I don't know. I'm in the brainstorming part of it.
Yeah. I'll ask everybody all day long how their kids are. But nah.
Frankle.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and like I also think too, so many people have put it so well. I'd rather regret not having children than have children and regret that because something that I've heard on TikTok, who has been stay of execution for 90 days or whatever, is people reading from the subreddit called Regretful Parents, and these are very vulnerable and open posts about how people regret having their children and how it completely changed their lives and they miss how their old life before. And just like Christina, your experience is valid and you love being a mother. Those experiences of other people are just as valid who
They didn't
regret
think
it.
about
totally.
it. Yeah. They didn't
Oh, totally.
consider everything. Well, and that's how
Yeah.
you know, like that's how you know when you've got a mom like Christina that's like, you know, I wouldn't take it back for a second. It's like, well,
Yeah.
Christina was very solid in what she
Mhm.
wanted.
No, I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But good Lord, like I said, I think the universe said, bet. Like you want this, but you're gonna fucking go through some
What?
shit.
What's
Yeah.
the saying? I'm tired of being one of God's strongest soldiers.
Like literally, and like I feel like we talk about this constantly, and I'm like, there can't be any more. And then what happens a month later? There's more. Like this is out of my hands, but this world is just, I
yeah.
don't know. It's never ending.
Back to the episode. What my
Yeah,
question
yeah.
is, and I've never asked it. I'm not sure. So this was in 2000, and
Mhm.
Amanda has gone through a very vocal, open, went through very vocal and open fertility struggles herself.
Yeah.
But she finally had her kid like 5 years later. So I wonder where this falls.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
think it's during that time frame.
yeah, it's like, because I can only imagine that would have been a 5+ year struggle then. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because it just feels like, number one, you're honoring her by like acknowledging that struggle. But damn, that's got to be real fucking hard, you know? Like,
To be in this
Mhm.
episode and play this version of this character
yeah,
that's also struggling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I hope that I guess at this point, Sarah or anyone listening, I hope that nobody has to go through the experience of like a miscarriage or a loss. And those are listening, my heart goes out to you because been there, like that, and that, like for like, there's one thing where like if you're not able to like even get the positive, and then there's another level that goes to you get the positive, and then you lose,
Yeah.
and then it's and like there's two different things that happen there, and
Yeah,
and then
that's
you're just
that's
expected to
honestly
just go on.
Lawrence, the companion Lawrence too, and a lot of people know like their issues with that too. There were like it was IVF, but it was still like so many failed before finally one, and now it's a freebie like it's. I feel like Lawrence is in your camp, Christina, and he's going to
Oh,
continue
yeah.
to be.
Oh yeah.
He's acknowledged it himself of like, oh, I'm just going to keep getting handed these like things, and I was like, yeah, probably,
Oh, yeah.
because
For a
once
while,
they start, you're going to have issues, like they're just, yeah.
it's you reach a point of reality where you're like, oh, this is my new normal. This is going to be extreme parenting. Like, I mean, it's just a different level. I mean, we were in the hospital even when Ryder came home. I think our average time staying home was like maybe 2 weeks before we'd have to go back until she was like 4 or 5 years old. Like there is hope, but it is a long fight, and you just gotta you just have to adjust. You just have to get there.
I just thought of like a horrible game show, Extreme Parenting. It's just like you're just like doing what are those things, vaults in like the hospital hallways, or you're like jumping over.
Our first 3
Just
contestants are
seriously.
just going to be Lawrence, Christina, and Amanda, and like
Yeah,
Extreme
my God.
Parenting.
like seriously. But I remember it was interesting is I remember when the pulmonologist, and sorry we can wrap it up here, but I remember when our pulmonologist, Ryder was 5, 6, was like, I don't need to see you guys anymore. And I was like, what?
wait, what?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
But
I
then
only
what did
know.
we do?
And he's like, I don't know. Or no, it would have been 3 because this was. So I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Okay, I guess I have a child that's okay. And then obviously then comes the onslaught of gender, and I'm like, here's the next wave. Here's the next battle.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But I'm like, I feel like the one prepared me for the other, and I'm grateful for that. Like I had to find perspective because I'm like, I can do this battle because I did the other one. And
Yeah.
so yeah. Wait.
You were primed. I still have more though. Don't I know we're
Oh,
long-winded.
I
got
gotta go.
more.
What else you got? I gotta go.
Okay,
get
all right,
dinner.
hold on. So Joe knowingly
Sarah's
makes a
like,
deal
I'm
with
not
the Ashen.
done yet, bitch. Like,
I got more to say.
We gotta go.
Joe knowingly makes the deal with the Ashen, albeit for a sustainably lower percentage to be sterilized, right? For the greater good. Assuming the Ashen stuck to this plan, what are the ethical and moral implications of this choice? Could we justify it? Could we make it elective and give certain benefits to people who choose to be sterilized? It's like, okay, listen, we need 10% of the population to get on board with this. We will give you money or whatever the fuck if you elect to do this. Like if they stuck with that original plan for whatever reason, like, hey, your population is not sustainable. Like this is what we want from you, so we can also reap the benefits of harvesting crops and whatnot. Like thoughts.
I mean, I would take a check, and then I'd be like, joke's on you, wasn't gonna have one of those anyway. Like,
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any way in hell that if they stuck with that plan, it would be arbitrary or random. Period.
Oh no.
You
Yeah.
know?
We'd be getting into like eugenicsy territory there. Yeah.
So that's
They'd find a specific 10% of people.
Yep.
So I was shopping around online for like inspiration or things to talk about with this episode, and I actually found this in the YouTube comments of a video of a clip. Let me find it really quick, actually, because I thought this was very timely, I suppose.
everybody in the comments is saying we don't care, keep on. It's not you guys.
I
Christina,
have
I think, is hungry.
I have.
And has a sister.
I'm hungry. I have a child with 102 fever. I think I need to go medic. I need to
It's
go
either a
take
sick
care of
night
her.
or a school night, depending. So, yeah.
Well, it's both at this point, but if she's not feeling well, then she's just sick.
So
Yeah.
this is on the video of the cabin scene with Sam and Jack. Someone pinned a comment of like there's like 12 comments on this video total, but this one was pinned. This is not a place to encourage or promote anti-vaccine or anti-science sentiments, xenophobia, or any other kind of ethnic discrimination, conspiracy theories, don't know what that word is, and fear mongering in general. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Like this episode could be argued to be like an anti-vax episode. The vaccines are causing sterility. Don't listen to what they're telling you.
I don't really buy it. I mean, I buy it because people are stupid and they're not thinking about the context and the time in which the episode aired.
Yeah.
But I would argue that in 2000, I mean, there was this anti-vax talk was not happening the way it is now. Like
Recent,
you had
yeah.
your religious extremists that were saying things, but that's fine. They always do. But like
Yeah.
the level of anti-vaxness that's going on right now was not happening in the year 2000. We were just worried about Y2K for a while, and we were pretty happy when our computers didn't shut down, you know, like
And then
and-
something happened in 2001 that we kind of got distracted by,
correct. So
so
we were not they,
not
you
on the
know,
radar.
you knew your kid had to get X, Y, and Z vaccines before you could go to school, and nobody bucked that. Like
No.
that was not a thing back then.
Well, even now too, I hear this like these crunchy moms talking about birth control and how birth control is poison and it causes cancer. And I'm like, this is giving me some weird fucking vibes. This is the crunchy mom to alt-right pipeline. I'm saying it now because it's like, don't use any chemicals, just track your cycle, blah blah blah. And it's like, give me the birth control. I'm going to snort a line of birth control right now, bitch. Like I've asked my doctor those questions because of those things that I've heard. And I'm like, I love being on birth control personally. I know a lot of people have different reactions to it. It cleared up my skin. My periods are like non-existent now. I've been on it for like 10 plus years. And I asked my doctor, I'm like, listen, I've been on this for a decade now. Are there any problems long term? I'm worried. Are there other methods that I should try? Will it cause cancer? Will it be hard to return to fertility if I choose to come off the pill and try to have kids? And she went through every goddamn method of birth control, every single one for women, like IUD, implant, the pill, every single one that you could imagine, and gave me the details of like, well, the implant, it lasts for this long, and they actually, you have a lot harder time returning to fertility coming off of that, and the IUD lasts for X amount of years. But like, she told me fucking everything. And you know what, I'm gonna believe my OBGYN over a Facebook post on the internet.
So I would actually say I fell into more of that. I wouldn't say crunchy mom. Birth control is not something I, for myself, felt good about because of my hormones. And so it messed with me too much that I felt not like myself. And it wasn't, I felt like it was doing stuff to me. So that's maybe different. But so
Perfectly
I
valid. Perfectly
There's also
valid.
different kinds of birth control with different levels of hormones in them.
100%.
So like I'm not on it right now, but with PCOS, when I am if I want to be on it for PCOS, it's actually got more estrogen in it than a lot of the others. And there is concern with that, with like the ones that have more, that there are potential like cancer issues and stuff. So, but that is very normal. That's why you get pap smears. That's why you go through like all that. That's the reason that all that shit is out there. But like, there are so many different kinds and different levels of those medications that it's like,
and
that's why we
it
have
took-
that many kinds, you know, like that's why.
It took me a while to find the right pill for me. I had there was some trial and error involved. And it works for some people, it doesn't work for everybody, but this whole it's poison bullshit,
No.
I don't like it.
No.
So but yeah, I thought, you know, today this episode would read a lot differently because it's in the vaccines, they're turning the frogs gay, whatever. Like
I don't know. I knowing those creators and how they are and how they lean, I feel like they probably wouldn't write it that way in like this day and age, because it would feel like a very political statement, but not in 2000. That's just not. Our brains were
Mm-mm.
not there.
We had other
No.
things to worry about.
We had other
Yeah.
things, simpler things to worry
It was
about.
a
in lot of
simpler
ways.
time.
Was-
Okay, I have to go.
All right. I think that was it. And just like the whole message of complacency. Don't be complacent in this episode. And bitch, don't be complacent in your life
Yes.
or anything.
Is that
Yeah.
how we're closing this? Sarah, you want to
Sure.
do it? You want to tell him again? We're gonna give him a little. Give him
I'm
a,
doing my part. That's been in my head all day.
Sarah literally for the last couple of days. I'm gonna help. I'm doing my part.
Starship Troopers.
Yep.
All right. All right, everyone. We're closing the iris with this message of do not let complacency ruin your life. Don't be complacent like they were in this episode. Do shit, bitch. Close the iris.